Grand Rising Life Force, and welcome to Speak Pro Radio. My name is Stefan Rao, more commonly known as Tank, and this is the Life Force Network. And if you're not familiar with the Life Force movement, Life Force is, in fact, a movement of like minded people dedicated to changing the world. And we are trying our best to gather people from the four corners of the world to actually do something and take action in a positive way that we can make the world exactly what all of us have always dreamt about and wanted to create. It's something you probably felt deep within yourself your whole life that you were meant to do more, and this is the place to do it. And this is the kind of where we gather to do exactly that. So today we're going to talk about the latest world situation report. We're going to go over some of the more accurately some of the mistakes that we made the other day and kind of expound on that because we're in this incredible transitional period. It's the biggest moment in the history of mankind. And because of that, it's profound what you have the opportunity to do. You as a human have never been more powerful than you are right now. And because of that, I mean, well, and you've always been powerful, but you have actual access to this power in a way that you never have before. So we're going to talk about that and how to access that and really expound on where we're at and what can we do to kind of capitalize on this incredible direct current coming in directly from source, from God, from the universe, the multiverse, however it makes sense to you. So with me here is my partner in all things, Laura.
Hello, Mr. Rao. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm very busy today. I've been doing a lot of healing and a lot of work as well, with my other kind of full-time gig and getting my mind ready so that we could talk about where we're at, right? So where do you want to start today? Because you've been putting out information to me all day long. Okay. So Laura will send me information all day long and I could be anywhere. I could be doing anything. And she'll call me and be like, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. And I could be hanging off a building at that moment and she would have to tell me. And I'm like, okay, I'm in, go ahead. Because what we're doing, she reminded me right before the show. She goes, remember this. So she went into full executive mode on me. She said, remember this. This is the most important thing that you do. So don't you mess it up.
No, I
No,
didn't.
she
I
did.
did
No,
not
she
say
just said, just remember, this is the most important thing you do. That's all she said.
that. I did not say that. My thing is that out of all the things that we do, getting this message out is important. This is what you were born for. Well, you were born to do this. And I guess I've come to do this and I was born for this. So, yes. So where would you like to start? Because I really think that we should touch base on the last situation report that just happened on Wednesday. However, due to everything that happened the last broadcast, I think we should touch base on some important things that we actually didn't cover, and I hope we can cover after. So you watched the situation report on Wednesday, correct?
Yeah. So really, UnitedNetwork.Earth, Kimberly Ann Gogan, the World Situation Report. In case you don't know, Kimberly Ann Gogan is the highest ranking official with the highest level clearance in every single department, military, otherwise, right? Everything in the world. And she's breaking these things down. And what's amazing to me is how few people really know who she is. All right. Now she's doing something that I have to believe has never been done before because people that have sat in her position previously, they basically were behind the scenes. They were, kind of the whispers of myth and legend and Marduk, Enlil, Enki, like were they real? Did this really happen? And they were here for a long time and they were here. I think they actually left the planet around 2016, 17, something like that. So people don't realize that, right? Even in intelligence circles, I remember this happened actually. I had a who I considered kind of a mentor, a guy named Fisher, and Fisher was just a really grisly veteran of like the deep deep state secret operations of the CIA, and he would do these calls where he was trying. It's almost like he was trying to rectify for maybe the wrongs he'd done, and so he would spend hours. He would do like these 10-hour calls with people and explain things about how the world worked, and so he and I. We worked together a lot, and he kind of taught me a lot of different things, right? Like many years ago, when I was first kind of learning things, and he really kind of took me under his wing and helped me with a lot of things, right? And I remember when I started talking to Kim, right, because Fisher would have a regular 4 o'clock every day call with General Dunford, right, and I would get information directly after the call, right. So I would put this great intel out about this. It was always really cool, right, and but anyways, so when I started working with Kim, I started telling this. I started telling him. I started first talking to him. I started telling him, okay, and this is a guy who had clearance on levels. I mean, he really knew. It seemed like everything, right? Before I met Kim, I thought I'm like, this guy knows everything, right? And I remember so I started talking to Kim and I started telling him, like, look, she's describing that she went to a meeting. And in this meeting, there was all of this hierarchy of what she calls the order, right? And in this meeting, they were basically trying to take Kim out, and Kim showing up sparked them. And what happened was like these guys were like shapeshifters, right? So they would appear like they were human, and they're when they got mad though, they couldn't control it. So these draconian guys, I think like Marduk and Enki and a whole bunch of others, right? Like there's like 72 of these people at the top of the order. And what happened was the one Marduk got so mad, his body just dropped like a flesh suit. And Kim, this is how little she actually knew or understood about things at that time. She knew how to move the energy, but when what she saw was like it was like a white dragon. And so she thought it was a demon, right? So she hemmed him up like basically with source energy, right? And this was like in Russia, right? It was a huge thing, and she actually describes this sometimes as the massacre, because what happened was there was others with her, and they basically took out this hierarchy of the order who were all trying to kill them. So she was defending herself, but
Mm.
like this is a story that like doesn't get repeated much, right? But like basically, the way it was described to me was kind of like the source light energy coming out and using it almost as a weapon, right?
Mhm.
And I was always fascinated by that. It was one of the first stories she ever told me, right? So I
Mhm.
told Fisher this, and I remember Fisher being this just guy who I never stumped. I never told him anything that he was like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." He was always like, "Wait," like he was always like he always knew more about everything than me. So I tell him the story, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute. I guess that would actually make sense, but these guys were gone a long time ago, but maybe not. That would actually make everything make sense." And he knew like he knew there was something that had happened. He just didn't have the details, because in the agencies and in the military and all these different groups, everyone is so compartmentalized, right? That they didn't know what was going on with the other groups a lot of times, or they know pieces. But and Fisher seemed to know more about everything. And in my experience, I'm sure Fisher had another history, but in my experience, Fisher was a great guy, and in the agency and really tried to do the right thing by people. But anyways, so I just thought that was interesting, because even in the intelligence agencies, this is part of the reason why the the world is in the situation it is, because all these groups who think they know everything, the white hats and the Order of the Black Sun and the dragon families and the Chinese elders, they all think that they're the top of the order. They all think that they are the ones who have the best information. But the reality is, in my experience, I've talked to a lot of them. They don't know what's going on, because at the end of the day, they all look for kind of the same basic thing and the basic repetition of like, I need the codes to bring the money down, but they don't know where the money comes from or how it's generated or how the system ever worked, right? And that's
Mhm.
what we're dealing with now, that Kim Gogan has been took out the hierarchy of the order already, most of them. But this latest stuff kind of expounds on it and breaks it down. I'm kind of blown away by that. First of all, am I making sense? Yeah, I know I just threw a bunch of information out there.
No, no, you are. No, I'm hearing it, and I'm like, okay, the one question I had, I'm like, oh, this is what she's talking about. These people, like Fisher, that she's saying that they Some of them want to do good, however, they don't know that they're working for the other side. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
And
I don't know if it's just they don't know, or sometimes it's like, well, they kind of chalk it up to like a necessary evil, you know. Um,
what do
I,
you mean by necessary evil? So they just think that, like, this is life, that's it. Um, this is the best I'm going to do, so it doesn't matter. At least I'm getting paid. Or,
no, well, maybe I'm sure there are some like that, sure, but no, I think a lot of them believe the propaganda that was put out, right? So the
Mhm,
propaganda within the order is that humanity is the disease, the sickness of this world, right?
mhm,
So of course you have to eliminate most of humans, right? Because we're just batteries to generate energy for their purpose, and most of them believe that they were better and higher than everyone else, right? The reality is though is like like we talk about this all the time. If I give you every advantage, if I give you all the money, I give you, the best medical treatment, I give you the best schooling, I give you the best of everything. I tell you about the esoteric secrets that when you're born, you know, normal, let's say, just a normal person, if you started talking about like you're seeing angels, right? Or you're seeing spirits, your family's going to kind of say, no, you're not, right? Because they don't want their kid to be put in an insane asylum for seeing crazy things. And so that'll be suppressed. But the order on the other side, they would encourage that. Like, yeah, do you? Okay, what are you seeing? Like, tell me about it. And they would develop those skills because it's much less we're much more open to that when we're like from 0 to 7, I think it is, where we're just open to spiritual things happening. It's programming that gets us to stop seeing things, right? That's why kids are so scared of the dark, right? Because they're seeing things they can't explain, right? So, you ever see kids and they're having whole conversations with someone,
yeah.
and you know what, and you're like, who are you talking to? Because the conversation will be really considerate, right? They'll be going back and forth, like, oh, okay. Like I remember watching my daughter and think, oh, she's playing make believe, and then I was like, no, I don't think she is. I think she's talking to someone or something. Right? I remember my daughter and I would go walk across the street, and she'd be like, oh, Mr. Invisible's coming with us, and she was like
Mhm,
4 years old, right? And like I'm like, okay, and like so we'd get across the street and wait for him to cross the street too, right? And so I kind of fostered that in her to encourage it because I knew at least enough to say, okay, there's more to the story, right?
yeah.
But so that's kind of the way that they would think, the
Mhm,
order. And this is, you know, all of these individuals out there who think they're part of the Canaanite bloodline and they think they're exceptional and better, and everybody who worships them because you think they're better than you too, they're not. They're not better than you, right?
mhm,
You have all of these same latent abilities right within you. And for the first time in history, we don't have any governors telling us that we governors in the sense of like like a mechanism inhibiting us from accessing this direct source wisdom, right? This knowledge, this incredible gift that we have, which we've always had. We've always been beneficiaries of this on some level, right? We've always had life, right?
mhm,
Heart beats, your lungs breathe, your eyes see, your blood flows, all of these things, these um, subconscious activities that happen in your body all the time that are constantly, they're automatic in your body, right? These things happen every day, and they're a reminder that you are divine, right? You've been given this incredible gift of life, and you are a living witness that God exists and that life force exists right within you every day, right? No matter what you do.
yeah.
But we don't all appreciate that. We kind of take it for granted for the most part, right? But
People take. Mhm,
yeah. So, but anyways, I'm saying all these things to say in the order, right? In the order, now the order kind of refers to all the collective of the secret societies, the Order of the Black Sun, you know, the Knights Templar, all these different secret groups, the think tanks, the military hierarchy, you know, this evil empire that's ruled the world, right? The Committee of 300 and the covens, the parents, they're the order, right? They're the structure that's run the world, and most of them, a lot of them on the hierarchy weren't even human, right? They weren't even here. They weren't from
mhm,
here. So where we're at now, it's so incredible to me because we're trying to get to this the points that Kim's making right now. So I'm like, I'm a little overwhelmed hearing her talk about these things, 'cause these are things that we wanted to hear for many, many years, right? So let me grab out some tidbits of what she just said. Before I do that, go ahead, please.
Oh no, sorry, that's what I want to know. Did she say anything else? Sorry, I apologize. I thought you were going to our back end.
No, yeah, she said a lot. No, those things I just said are like just kind of things I'm remembering as she's talking.
Got it. Okay.
She didn't mention those things exact specifically, but the things she said sparked those memories in me. So I'm just sharing them with everybody.
Yeah. No, no, I understand. And so, what else did she mention in there?
Okay, so she had mentioned this guy Angel
Oh, we've
Marcos,
got
who
this
is like,
guy.
yeah, right. So back in 2012, all right. So take this guy down because like apparently he's not that important, right? On Monday he was important, like like he was important for the kind of base, right? But but the information changed, not changed. The information didn't change, but there's more to the story, is what I should say.
Got it. Okay.
So back in 2012, Kim takes the office right as the trustee for
Hmm.
the unknown country or whatever, right? The guardian, for lack of a better term, right? And she's kind of excelled up through the ranks and got new positions, and but she took on the position of the comptroller basically for the world, right? The highest level position in the world. She took it in 2012.
Hmm.
And she didn't know a lot about what was going on at that time. Like, she had a base knowledge, but she was learning very fast. And so she funded because they told her, like, Marduk and Lilananki, I guess, and others were there. I guess Artemis, potentially the Red Queen, and these other groups of like this kind of higher council was there kind of directing her and telling her how she could help and change the world, right?
Hmm.
And said, "Oh, what you're doing is great. So fund these groups." So she basically signed the documents and brought this money down, and she shows the contracts on the Monday show to
Hmm.
show that she was the one who brought this money down. This and basically that's the M1 level transactions, right? So M1 level transactions is where you take an asset and you turn it into usable cash, which I actually think is the transmutation process where
Hmm.
you're taking whatever the asset is and turning it into a credit or a debt of some sort that creates allocation numbers. Right. Okay. So this is the M1 level, which everyone always thought was money one, is Marduk one, right? He was the Lord of the seas, right? The current seas, the currencies. So he controlled the flow of energy or the flow of money. And what would happen is you take these M1 credits, right? You take this life force energy, you transmute it into darkness, and you turn it into a debt. And then you issue credits, and that's why the other side is always looking for, debt instruments. They're looking for debt instruments instead of real money. They don't look for money, they look for debt instruments. And this basically means that you would have a debt instrument that's generating money off debt, off people. So imprisoning people in debt by paying money from life force that really belongs to them in the first place. Right?
Mm.
That's kind of the financial system in a nutshell, or the old financial system.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Kim brings his money in. And that was the foundation for everything else, right? So I
Mhm.
think, didn't you have this queued up before? Is this the document here? Yeah,
That's the document. That is a document from that gentleman, the Garcia guy.
right.
Yeah.
So this was used to, he basically tried to take credit. This is very common in Kim's world. The order's always trying to take credit for the things that Kim has done. But you can see on the documents, are these other documents with Kim's signature? Yeah,
Uh,
this is
yeah.
Kim's signature, right? So here's an example of the other things that Kim brought in money for, right? That she basically, this is, she brought all this in. This is all her. And these are all money, different money to fund different things. And if you examine these numbers and you know what these numbers mean, they're important. Like you'll see here, they're referencing the U.S. Treasury Department. So obviously, when it comes to what they believed was most important, they used Kim to bring in this money, right? And now I can't get it to go down. Let's see. Off. How do I? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Um, okay, I started interfering with the tech I'm not supposed to be messing with. Right? But anyway, so these different documents are evidence, right? So everyone's always like asking for evidence. Now, these are documents that are real evidence. These are international documents to bring in money from the off ledger system. This is how you draw money down from the unknown country or from the now it's the light system. It was the alpha system. And they would take that and they would take it from the alpha system, and the omega system would turn it into dark credits, right? So and we're going to talk about that more, right? Because you got these great slides that you made today, so I'm really excited to talk about that. So, but this is what I thought was so significant about what she said yesterday. So the guy, the little angel Marcos guy, who was a fraud, right? Apparently, there was these three other guys who basically went by white, neutral, and black, or maybe white, gray, and black, right? She was calling them Mr. White, Mr. Black, Mr. Gray, like kind of thing, like neutral. And these were these other characters, and basically they managed the energy. Now, she didn't say who they were. She just gave these colors. And she was talking about how like there was these other guys who were in this place, which I would guess it would be Marduk and Lelenki. That would be my guess. But I don't know. It's complete speculation. But they're gone. So there's these three other guys who've been in this place. So what they did is they had the Angel Marcos guy imprisoned, took over, and then took credit. So the entire white hat movement, the RV, everything has been based on this money coming in, while they all mock and deny that Kim Gogan is the comptroller, is the guardian, is the ground commander, the custodian for the global trust. She's the head of. She took all these positions, right? Like because she had to, and basically they refuse to acknowledge her. They refuse to acknowledge her because they don't want to lose control. So these three guys have been controlling everything, and everything that they've been promising is because they took this money that Kim brought in, or this gold that she brought in, they put it on back end trade platforms. So the money's been trading offline, right? So it's been trading and building value, and they were getting ready to bring it online. This is what she was talking about. They were getting ready to bring it online, is what they said. But the reality is, they don't have the authority, the power, the access, the knowledge, the wisdom, or the comprehension on how the system works to bring the money from off ledger to on ledger. They don't know how. They don't know from the real system, right? They don't know how to do it. So they need allocation numbers, which they do not have and they cannot put out. But she talked about this other system that the United Nations had, like the OICS system, I think it's called, where they had this international currency something system, right? The OICS system run by the United Nations. So this guy, Marcos, I guess he brought it in there, and then Mr. Black, White, and Gray, or Mr. Black, White, and Neutral, were basically promising everyone, we're going to bring this money on now. So on Monday, the Pentagon was pumped. They're excited because they're like, we got military control. We're in control now, right? We're in control because we got approval. So they're all taking all this fake money. It's all fake money. It's not attached to anything. Allocation numbers are what attach the money to an asset. So they all thought we got gold. So every country in the world got some distribution of gold to this OICS system, and the Pentagon thought they were in control. So you'd think, right? And they got the control from the Golden Eagle, right? So the Golden Eagles are always the Chinese, right? That like there's every color, like there's yellow. Like, the order comes on yellow paper, right? Because they're all big on their symbolism. I guess they went over to Taiwan and did some weird satanic ritual to access clearance, which didn't work. These are the people that have been running the world and basically controlling all of us, right? And Kim talks about this and she was laughing about it, like, you still think this is valuable, you still think this is powerful, you still think there's something here. It's ridiculous. So she basically was breaking it down how everything that they're doing is useless. It's not going anywhere because they don't know how things work. And the reality is, what they were basing it on was money allegedly brought into the OICS system, which is like the United Nations currency, whatever, like back end platform.
Mhm.
This guy was over, and everything was brought there, and it was brought in where they got those allocation numbers is from Kim 12 years ago. 12 years ago.
So, since you're talking about this, that's actually in the video that we have. So instead of going through that, why don't we just go from there? Because I really think the way she said it was just incredible. Because she did mention it. Now, she mentioned this gentleman. So you're saying that after this happened, so yesterday she said that there was another two more people involved in this. Is that correct?
I think there was three. One of
Mm-hmm.
them died, Mr. White, who they were supposed to control the balance of the world, right? White was
Okay.
good, black was bad, gray was neutral. And the
Okay.
white guy died, so Mr. Black decided he was black and white. He was just going to handle both. And then
Okay.
there's the gray guy, which could be
Got
the
it.
popes, even. I'm not sure. But yeah,
The who?
the popes. Like there's a white pope and a black pope and a gray pope, But I don't think so. I'm just, she didn't say that. Maybe she didn't want to confuse it with religion, but go ahead, show your clip, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so there's two actually. So I think the first one, I'm not sure, but I want to hear your thoughts about this.
So I did them and I handled them all over. What a mistake that was. So what they had done is they had then gotten permission to implement these things in what we call the red line. And they thought between them and the agreement they had with Artemis that they were a surefire in to have full control over all those allocations that came out. And to be fair, for a time, there was a bit of control there. But it was still money with no allocation numbers. So what they did was they issued credit lines against this and margin accounts against this, and then they reflected them in the banks, and they reflected them in places like Saudi Arabia, and they reflected them in places like South Africa, and got the little Saudi Arabian royal family to dance like a you know what. You're going to be in charge of this sector. You're going to be in charge of this sector. But they realized they still did not get any allocations for this. They thought, and they still think, probably at the time of this recording, unless someone set them straight between last night and this morning, that the Federal Reserve is blocking allocations. And above the Federal Reserve, the Fed families are blocking allocations. What do you mean? We signed a contract with you to get the allocations on the 4th of July to make all our money that we've had hanging out in here and have been trading against good.
Yeah.
That's why I had to explain to these people how they got that in there, who it came from in the first place. It wasn't granted by any human families on earth, and you can wait until the end of days to get an allocation from some Chinese person or some British guy or anybody in the Order of the Dragon or the Line of Solomon, because they don't have that agreement anymore, and they didn't even have it with the aliens before they died. So you're lost. Your agreement with Artemis already expired as well. They thought they were going to take over for Artemis. You don't even know what the heck that meant until now, till I just explained it to you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You don't have any ability to fly through the zero density or to control gateways on this planet, and you only know potentially locations where you used to be able to access something. But that's all you know. So how did you think you were going to do that job? You're going to go to the causal plane of the fifth density from here? Or you just think that, oh, we're going to have money because money is in the fifth density of Web 5 and I can do that and I can release it. Now, why did they think all of this was the case?
Great question.
So I know that she talks about, so this is where I think this would be great to touch base on this, because we brought up the Akashic records. I think I said that correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to go back and understand who this is and just a little bit of how she explained it. So she was talking about the system, so how the financial system works, correct? That was back in Monday.
Yeah.
Now, you can see the photos in the back end. So just so you know, I think we should, yeah.
No, I'm so these slides we're definitely going to show, and
Yeah.
I do. There's parts of these I'm like, oh, I really understand this part, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot she said that. Like this, and we're going to actually put these out to everybody.
Yeah.
These are basic replicas, more clearly of Kim's whiteboard that she used during the show. And thank you so much for doing that. These are really awesome.
Well, my thing is that I want to learn, I want to understand it. So if I'm already going to do it, then I might as well put it out there. You know, this is for everyone to understand, because I think if you don't understand it, then you really can't actually then go, okay, what am I supposed to do? So first, it's just like school. Where like I'm taking this as I'm at school. I'm understanding what the system is and how it worked and our history and going through other people what they're saying as well. So when I saw her and when she gets the whiteboard, I'm like, I'm ready. What is she going to say? And so that's why I had to do it for myself because it just made it easier. So I'm just going to show this one and we can, there you go.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this stuff is so exciting. Okay, so the Red Queen, right? So the first time I heard the Red Queen referenced was by Shane the Ruiner, right? So if you've never seen the Ruiner blog, it is the most comprehensive blog about what the order is. It is all over the place, but it is such a great read. It is factual, although he presents it now because he was threatened by the order. He presents it as being fictional, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the things he says in there are accurate and they're incredible, right? It's really well written. Shane is really, unfortunately, he kind of went a different way, but I have to say, like, as a writer, he's a brilliant writer, and he really broke those things down. Excellent. But so the first time I heard the Red Queen, he says it's all about the Red Queen now. So I actually thought for a time that red was referring to Russia and the Red Queen was Kim, because Kim is actually like she would be the czar of Russia technically, right? Because she is the bloodline czar of Russia, but she would not ever claim that. Like if she, but she has that right. She's more Rus, right? She's part of the Rus bloodline, and she's more Rus than any of them. She's actually said that recently. But she would never do that because she obviously has bigger things, right? But the Red Queen is actually the anti-Palladian queen and the red reptilian race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was Artemis. She had a 3 billion year contract. And show this one. I'm going to put this up. I think this is right. Okay. So the way the system worked is down here between the 5 and the 4, right? This is why it's 504405. That's the Artemis. That's the red line that Kim was just talking about. That's the red line. And this would be yeah, go ahead.
Well, she explains it. So basically, I think we should go back to this. However, when I looked at when she explained that how do I pronounce that? Akashic? Akashic. There you go. Akashic. She explains it. And I thought, holy moly, this is what we didn't get down to doing the other day. And I thought when it, at the end of it goes down to the Web 5. So I wanted to ask you, what's the Web 5?
So she breaks this down too. By the way, everyone should go watch it because she goes through like web one is this, and there's the dark web, then there's the deep web, then there's the the government level web. Then web 5 is where like hardly this is like where humans kind of their last access is web 5. Like it gets to web 6 and they don't even have they don't even, I'm sorry for web for the computer, right? It's like webs like
Like,
the web,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, but it's not just that. It's the next level access that I guess controlled the financial system is kind of the final say. Right? So they all think, oh, great, here, explain it.
There you go.
The Akashic Records by Integrated Collective. It means we had dark,
So
natural, and light collective. Go ahead.
there you go. That's what it is. So, Mr. Al, I want to understand. I want to know what you think about this.
Okay, so this means that Artemis created the Akashic Records. Now, this is
So she created it. So this is like the big drop. Like, hold on a second. This is something that we all know about this. We've heard about it before. And like, I know in my studies, one of the biggest things that they would tell me is that we could go back to our Akashic records. And so I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people out there going, wait, what? Because this is where, like before, that's where it held all of the memories, right? Because that's what we were talking about before. That's what this all means. So the Akashic records are what exactly?
So you actually have it written on one of these slides. Can you pull that one up? I think it's here. No, not that one. The one where it actually describes it. It's the artificial soul history. It's right here in the acronym. So the Artemis. So we tried to say this like 10 times the other day, right? Artemis, karmic, artificial soul history, integrated collective, and that makes up Web 5.
Akashic records.
Akashic records, yeah.
Akashic.
Yeah. So the Akashic records are artificial. They're a fabrication, right, of what your history is, your soul history. Now, your soul is eternal, so you should be able to remember everything that has ever happened to you because your soul's eternal. But what Artemis did, who was the Red Queen, she created karma based on a manufactured version of your history, right? So you'd go through a lifetime, right? And then you'd die off, right? And then the next lifetime you'd come back, you would remember what happened in that lifetime, but people would tell you, well, you have a karmic debt, right? You got to pay back your karmic debt. Well, that was created so you didn't know what the karmic debt was. So what would happen? You would bring over all of the fear, the anxiety, the stress, the doubt, all of these things that aren't even real. You'd bring them into the next lifetime or the feeling of those things, but you wouldn't have any memory as to how it happened or what good things did you do. You wouldn't have any memory of your real life. That's why every one of us people got wiped out every time. We'd be born again, right? That's why the born again movement, I hate to say this. I know this is going to hurt some people's feelings. People who think they're a born again Christian, you're actually supposed to be born from above, right? That's what the scriptures actually say. Being born again is what they did here, right? With the Akashic records, you'd be born again and you'd lose all record of who you were and you'd be in a state of debt. We'd all be enslaved by debt. So we were a battery for a system that we fueled that was feeding off of us. And none of us could get any further than the causal plane, right? So that's this 504, 405, right? Like this one right here. So you see here at the bottom of the Star David, 504, 405. This is the red line, right? That's my understanding of it.
Right? That's the red line right there. I should have put it gold. The gold from the 5 to the 4.
Right. So this is where the Omega system was, right? So the Omega was the dark astral right, side of it, where
Mm.
all the debt was. So we never could get above being in debt. We would always be in debt.
Mm.
So now,
Well, it's funny because this, when she explained the whole universe, so this is how she explained it and how it was before, and how she said that we were here and how she's the gatekeeper. Now she's the gatekeeper, but prior to this, it wasn't like that, right?
I don't. No, it wasn't. I mean, wait. Show the other one. Show the other gatekeeper one to show how it used to be.
How it used to be.
Yeah, didn't right here.
This is how. Yes. So
We're fighting for control of the system right now. This is how it's. No, I'm just kidding. So, okay. So, this drives me crazy. So, the symbol for infinity, right? Which is not really accurate because what happens is you'd go up and back and
yes,
around and do it again,
yes,
right?
this is how it is now. This is not how it
No, not
is right
now.
now. No, no, no. This was prior. This has completely changed. So what I'm trying to say is before we had Artemis as the gatekeeper, correct?
Right.
Okay. So Artemis would allow for this infinity thing, whatever it was, so it would go through anti-source and back up to source. This is how it used to be. But now it's not like that. But I think it's really important to understand who that person was, why they were there, or what exactly happened, and then how it is now. Because I think that is like mind blowing that it finally finished on July the 5th, 2024. Correct? Like that was when was it a contract? What was it exactly?
So that was I guess that was the end of the 3 billion year agreement, or maybe it was cut short. There was actually I know there was
No,
a
the
war.
seal. This is when it came back to the seal. So there was a
Yeah, I
war.
didn't catch what the seal was. What was this, what is the seal? Is
So
that from the
basically, there was a
250,000
war.
years ago?
Yeah, there
Okay.
were. Okay, let's bring it back here. So here, this is how it first happened. Okay, it first started, and then we're at war. After this happened, 250,000 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
250,000 years. There you go. They were at war, and they finally came to an agreement and said, okay, that's why they called it the seal. And then they retained the agreement for another blah, 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 blah. But anyways, it expired on the 5th of July, 2024, which when she said, which I thought was incredible, she said, I couldn't have done anything before then. I was like, wait, what? She knew that. I thought that is just mind blowing.
I know. Why did you tell us that? But I guess, of course. Oh, that job. Kim's job is hard. It is hard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have to understand that the gatekeeper was this Artemis. It was which then brings us to here. That's what it looked like. This is what would happen. So, the line, the way I explain it is the line is where our feet should have been before. But let's just say, because the gatekeeper, the way I explain it, I don't know how to explain it without showing. The way I explained it to you when we were laying down on the top of your head and below, and how if it's connected, the top of your head is source, underneath your foot is anti-source. Okay, and pretend that there's a glass line there. Okay, before you could go through it and you would pick up on all the stuff that this woman was doing, which links to the Akashic records. Am I saying it correctly now?
Yeah.
Okay, it was linked to there. But now it's set up like this.
Right.
Okay, now it's set up this way. So before our memories were altered, and because she was the gatekeeper of those records, which were not accurate. Now, for what I understand, it goes back to source. So now you'll be able to get all your memories because it goes back up now. Like we are now getting our real memories back now. Do I think, holy moly, I know that we've said this before, but we had so many things going on, it was a bit insane. But I'm like, that is pretty cool.
That is mind blowing. Because think about it, so many people would get caught up with what something they got from the Akashic records. But this, I mean, look at the difference. When you have constant looping experiences, right? Have you ever heard people like where you repeat the same experiences over and over and over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just constantly repeating the same mistakes over and over. And they say, well, you got to learn a lesson. You got to learn a lesson. So you're perpetually learning a lesson and going through the same mistakes over and over again. Well, that is also in part, it would appear, a result of the way that Artemis set up this karmic debt, where we're constantly paying back something that wasn't even a debt in the first. We shouldn't have been in debt in the first place. Now, comparing that to this, where no, now, you, I mean, this is like a Pentecost, right? Pentecost is when all debts are forgiven, right? The Jubilee. It actually is. It's like, well, you have no karmic debt. You have no karmic debt anymore because it wasn't real.
Mm.
What?
Right?
Karmic debt's not real? I mean, come on, that's incredible. That in July 5th, 2024, right? As of that time, your karmic debt is paid. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
You no longer have karmic debt.
So what does that mean? Like in your opinion?
Great question. For our next show, I have no idea. I don't know what it means. Honestly, all of us, how do we know? What I know is we would spend this time. Oh, I know what it means. Here, this is perfect. We know this. This is what it means to me. We would heal things, right? And Kim has talked about this as well. We'd heal things, and what would happen over and over and over again? You'd heal something, it would come back. You'd heal something, it would come back. You'd
Yes.
heal something, it would come back over and over again, right? Well, if you don't have any karmic debt, what that should mean is if you heal something now, it's gone, right? Seal it off, heal it, and
Replace it. Replace it.
right,
You've got
replace
to,
it with something
yeah.
better,
Because
right?
once you've got the energy, once it's there, you then have to replace it with something. Like, for example, if it's hate, you would replace it with love, and then you seal it off with the love. It's that's mind blowing.
And if you don't know what to, if you take away something and you don't know what to do, I mean, love is pretty much a good fill-in for
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Right?
Love, light, don't know. Like this is the thing. It's so amazing that we are connecting directly with our creator right now. So whoever your creator is, you are connected directly to that being, whatever person, whatever. So you are directly connected to them. I'm like, this is something that's okay. I get it. We've always had the ability to connect, but not as strong as we have it now. And a lot of people are seeing that. A lot of people are feeling it as well. So I feel like that in itself is incredible. Like you're going to go through things, and also you might even be confused because just even knowing that the I'm doing so good. Akashic records were altered, that kind of changes things. And then, like, one of the things that I've been going through is like, you really don't know anything. We are learning, we are babies, learning things, everything. So, what's your thoughts?
I'm literally working this program now all day, every day. Like I am, I have adopted the Nike symbolism of just do it 24/7 in the spirit because what I realize is things keep coming up. And where in times past, I would have been dwelling on something, right? I'm telling you, this symbol, I've known this for a long time, right? This is what is talked about in the Bible as the way made known only to God. And it talks about the high priest would go in on the right side of of the most holy place. He would go up and around because the Ark of the Covenant would rotate. He'd go up and around and come back down the other side. It would be a figure eight. And that was a curse put on mankind. That was this Artemis Accord. It was put on mankind to repeat the same things over and over again. So think about what would happen. We'd go up through the veil. That'd be like dying, right? So he'd go in with a blood sacrifice. He'd go up and around to God, come back down to be born again, and he'd go back through the veil, and then he'd go back and he'd have no memory. Like basically, the idea is a symbolism of us having no memory of what we experienced over and over and over again, repeating the same mistakes. Because every year in the wilderness of Sinai, they would have sacrifices all year for the same 613 ordinances they would break all the time.
Mm. So now it's different. So now our memories are like this, correct? So now we have to go back to, we're going back to all these things that we're going to start to remember. Like when you told me that, I was like, wait, what? So people are going to start remembering their past lives and things like that, and how we can choose to remember them or not. Now we actually spoke about that in the Zoom call, which I'll post. And some people said some really incredible things there.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm excited. Keep talking. I know. This is exciting stuff.
Okay, so I've got another video, and then we can just talk. So now that I'm done. So I just want to hear your thoughts about this. And I know that some of it you've already said and that there's more to add on it, but the end of this is so exciting, and I just love what I hear at the end. So just tell me what you think about this.
I know that for a fact because I remember where he was. He was actually a friend of Marduk's at the time. I knew that. But then he goes over to the Philippines, and he's been dictating what the heck is happening in this world for all of you morons for 12 years, deep state people. And he never did the assignment. That was a lie. He inserted all of these programs he wanted to do, make himself out to be the good guy, taking care of all the little humans. And meanwhile, he wanted to be the controller of Earth. And it was all a big, fat lie. He got the first allocations from me, and I'll be damned if he's ever going to get a second. So all
he's still around, Kim?
Yeah, as far as I know, he's still alive. He went to prison just a couple years ago for trying to do something with hysterical bonds because he was working with a group that you may or may not have heard of, the Office of International Treasury Control, or OITC. OITC had the line already in the 5th density of computers, which connected to stuff that was in the 5th density of the lower astral and the 5th density of the upper astral that these people have no capacity to actually replace or remove. Nothing. Now, the trade group for these folks is called New Horizon. New Horizon is a group that's been trading these offline funds. Now, what does that mean by trading offline funds? Is they took those bonds, they issued derivatives to the tune of 100 times the amount of those contracts that were in there. And then now they're all sitting there waiting for allocation numbers. That's why the RV is going to happen every week and the military's now in control and all of this crap. This guy, I cannot believe you people fell for this. Deep state? Oh my God. It was still me. My name's on there. Of course, they lied about all of that and said that they issued those allocations. This guy even issued a 12-year extension to the Federal Reserve. Can you believe that? And a 12-year extension to issue currencies on behalf of countries, and everybody bought it. The guy was in jail in Texas
Oh my gosh.
just a decade ago for committing financial fraud. I have pictures of this guy. And you guys let this man run the world for you.
Wow.
Yep. All on my back the first time. So you know what, people? Don't be surprised because all of that little access glitch that you guys had, on Friday or whatever it was, that all went way out the window by this morning. There is nothing left in there. Crickets. Maybe I should put some of your cricket food in there or something. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that we replaced everything with care and we reprogrammed the financial system. Next, even if there is something that I have yet to see, meaning I missed something, I will get it within the next 24 to 48 hours anyway. And even if it's still there, you denominated all those derivatives and fake bonds and everything in what? Marduk money. But the financial system no longer will take your stuff anyway, even if you got allocations from fake people in fake jails and somewhere.
What?
So this is where it comes back to this, explaining, so this is how they had it before, correct? That's what she just said.
Right.
And now she did this?
So the currency of gold. Now, this, in addition, gold is a hyperconductor of source energy, right? Of divine light source energy. And there are veins of gold that run through the entire planet. They run through the entire planet everywhere. Now, this is something that is used, but what she's talking about now is she set up the Giver of Life Declaration, gold. So, in other words, this has all been redistributed to connect with humanity as a collective. So, the beneficiaries of our own life force energy is us now. That's what this means. That's my interpretation. Okay. So, with that in mind, as the beneficiary, your job is to say, because Kim talked about she's just a guardian. She's not a controller. That's what she says, right? Because the controller wanted to control you and control every single thing. But the guardian is protecting you, right? Protecting your interests. The trustee, so to speak, is there to protect your interests of humanity. So the reason why all of these horrible things had to be removed first, before money can come down, before money can be brought in directly to your human, right? So this is energy directly from God or from source to us, right? From the ether to matter, right? So from the ninth density plane of the soul, right, was where source exists, to money one, where we exist in our person, in our account, directly connected. That process, before that could happen, all of these other characters had to be removed, including the Artemis Agreement, right? That they thought the deep state thought they were going to get control of. They thought they were going to control the red line, so they thought they had it all locked up. So they set up their last Hail Mary. They told the Pentagon, military's in control. This is on the internet right now. So all the white hats and Q dorks out there who are like, yeah, this is all happening finally. And you're all cheering for dumb things that are not good for you, like war. We're like, yeah, we're going to have military control and we're going to have, the financial system is going to collapse finally. You don't want that. You don't want that. I know you think you do. You don't.
Okay, can you explain why they don't want it? Like, why wouldn't they want that?
Okay. The first reason is they were going to collapse the value of the dollar by revaluing the currency. If they would have collapsed the value of the dollar, it would have taken 137 other countries pegged to the dollar and collapsed all their currencies, thus collapsing their economies everyone's economy. So basically, people wouldn't be buying anything.
Yeah.
People would be struggling, and that would also collapse the rest of the world. Now, what their original plan was to collapse the dollar and
Mhm.
then show up like heroes and be like, oh, we'll have these 7 new currencies that we'll bring in that will save you because of your dumb mistakes. And they blame it on us, right? They blame us. And then they buy everything back for pennies on the dollar. This is why you have the social crediting system set up, right? So that your what you would be allocated from that money would be based on the value that they saw, right? And this is what people will often call a merit based, yes, a merit based system. And they say, okay, we're going to have a merit based system, right? So if you do good deeds, you get something back, or you contribute this. But here's the problem with a merit based system: who decides what behavior has merit, right?
Yep.
Because if you allowed one culture who hates the other culture and they value merit based on how much you kill of the other culture, well, if they're in control, then the whole other culture gets killed off. So just imagine so, some people value certain things that are not valuable in another culture. So if you are the one who decides the merit, that makes you the most powerful person in the world. So a merit based system doesn't actually work unless you have a universally recognized, accepted, and embraced system of values that we all say, okay, you can be different. You can be different in every possible way you want, but certain things we all agree. You don't kill kids, right? Like, can we all agree not to kill the kids, right?
Not to touch
Well,
them. Leave them
most of
alone.
the, yeah, like, can we start there? I mean, that's a pretty good one, right? Like, you'd have to come up with like
Actually protect.
actual, yeah, protect the kids. Like, you
Yeah,
have to
I
have
think that's
something
bottom line.
that makes sense, right? For
Hmm.
what is merit.
Yeah.
So that's what they had with the global currency reset. They thought they were gonna reset everything, but it was really designed to collapse the global economy. And in so doing, they would take over. That's why when Klaus Schwab and the what's it called? The what's Klaus Schwab's? It's the New
You,
World Order, right?
yes.
Basically, I'm drawing a blank, but basically because it's obsolete at this point. The whole Great Reset. The real Great Reset had nothing to do with money. It had to do with people. It had to do with a harvest of the energy and the lives of this planet. That is what the Great Reset was. That's the real Great Reset. It's not a global currency reset, right? It's a global human reset. It was going to wipe out most of humanity. And then you'd have this remnant who would be so happy they lived, they'd be more than willing to be enslaved for the rest of their existence. Now, that's why this is so exciting because it looked like we were going down that path. There was all types of seers and ascended masters and people talking about like this, we're going this way. We're going to have to go down this path. But we don't anymore. Right? We don't have to have an apocalypse or a zombie apocalypse, or we don't have to have a rapture or an end of days. We don't, it's not going to be that way. We are
Could it,
in the age. Yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry, you were saying we're in the age. Go, continue.
We're in the age of creating a new heaven and earth right now and doing it ourselves. Right.
Oh, see, this is a thing. There are good people out there that are following that movement, right? I do think like a lot of them, they went into this because they wanted a better earth. They wanted to protect the children. They still do. That is the whole reason why they're in this. But the only thing is the things that they're hearing, they're believing, and they're going. It's just not going to work. However, this is where it's really exciting. Like you just said it. I'm like, could it be the reason why they're doing that is because they're trying to put that fear out there? Because the more that people do it, because we are so powerful right now, and the more that they're thinking that, it's going to create it. Could that be a possibility? Like they want to create it because they know they're lost. So this is our last option. Let's give it to the awake people, and then they'll just call upon it.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what is happening. I mean, everybody they know the more you feed us something, the more we become that, right? You are
Yeah.
what you eat. Now, you don't just eat food, right? You consume energy, you consume ideas, you consume media, you consume energy from other people that ultimately becomes yours. And then that becomes your reality, right? Like how many people heard over and over again when these massive protests allegedly were happening with Black Lives Matter? It was such a big deal, right? And you'd have on one breath these peaceful protests with people sitting on lawns, to protest one thing, and then Black Lives Matter would come out and they'd be burning things down, it would look like. But in reality, that was never something initiated by a pro black people group. That was originated from George Soros and a communist collective that was about destroying the entire identity of what it means to be American or human, even. So this is something that expanded across the globe, right? But it wasn't ever to protect and help black people, and it didn't help any black people. All lives do matter. That's a fact, right? And if you talk to anybody really intelligent and about this, they would say the same thing. But that's the kind of thing that they would perpetuate to make racial diversity and cause issues between white and black people or whatever or Jews and Muslims, and you just create this thing where we have to fight, we have to war, we have to take our command back. But in reality, it's not even like that. It's
Mm.
really not. you know it's constantly perpetuating fear of each other, right? So instead of looking to the one who's causing the problems, the puppet master, pulling the strings, we're beating the heck out of each other over what? Like, who cares? And like these kind of things, they'll take something that doesn't matter. The reality is there's a teaspoon of melanin, a teaspoon of melanin that makes the difference between the whitest person in the world and the blackest person in the world, the darkest person in the world, right? A teaspoon. So imagine that's the difference, this color, and we've made this such a huge issue of controversy. Is it really? No, it really isn't an issue of controversy. It doesn't have to be. It's only because someone told us we're supposed to hate someone else or we're supposed to, you know, be proud because of something so small, right? So it's like we don't ever dive in to ask real questions, right? Like we refer to this is a commonly accepted politically correct term is to call black people African American. But when you dive into the history of what is referred to as African Americans, you realize there were black people here. Look at the Amexem Indian. They're black. The Cherokee were black, right? They were black Americans, not from Africa, from America. They were born, bred, raised here, came from the bloodline here. So the history that we're told and fed and sold is a lie, right? There's so much more to it that we don't really know about. And that's how they perpetually keep us antagonizing one another. And this actually connects, in my opinion, to the Akashic Records because the Akashic Records are a lie, right? So even if we were to get really deep into what we think is the spiritual esoteric truths, we didn't know what was real. But now, this is what I really want. I I am practicing. I am practicing to better understand and really doing my best to access this myself. I I diligently want to understand and desire to know my own history of what I've been spiritually, not so I can say, well, I was Benjamin Franklin or something silly like that, but to understand who we are,
Mm.
right?
So this is where it's really interesting. Like we had a conversation before on the Zoom that we do the Q&A, and I'm not going to say who it was, but they basically said that they don't want to remember, but because we're all energy, and we can get the information we want, and if we choose not to have it either, I'm guessing that would be there too. So could we just ask for the things that are going to help us with what we need to do in this lifetime or your mission? Like I would say, what do I need to do, learn, remember to help me on this journey? What's your opinion about that? Like, because there's going to be a lot
I
of
think
people.
so. Look, what you said it last time. Anything's possible. I know we are eternal, right? Look, all religions reference some kind of eternal life. Life is just energy expressed as you, right? So you are energy. Energy never ceases to exist. It just changes shape and form. So you can be expressed this way now and could have been expressed a different way in another life. That's the reality of what your soul is infinite, right? It has infinite possibilities. So of course we could reach back theoretically. I mean, no. Realistically, we can reach back and draw on whatever we want. You know,
Whatever, yeah, to help us. I guess that's where she would say it's the wisdom, right?
you know,
Wouldn't you get your wisdom from these lifetimes?
yeah, Kim was
What's
trying
wrong?
to distinguish, she distinguishes between knowledge and wisdom because all they had was knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And she was talking about wisdom. Well, let me define that a little bit, right? So, wisdom is the judicious application of knowledge. So, having knowledge isn't bad. Having knowledge without wisdom is bad, right? So, they say practice wisdom before strength, right? In other words, have the wisdom not to put yourself in a situation before you're praying for the strength to get yourself out of the situation, right?
Hmm.
I would use it like this: knowledge is knowing that smoking cigarettes will kill you, right? You know that cigarettes will kill you. Wisdom is not smoking, right? Like that's the difference. But you could know that cigarettes will kill you and keep smoking, right? Like that's knowledge. I know they will, but whatever. I like it, right? But wisdom would be like, well, cigarettes are going to kill me, so I want to stop smoking, right? It's applying what you know, right?
Mhm.
Now I'm just using that as a silly example. Like I'm not condemning anyone for smoking. I still smoke cigars. I'm not like I don't like that's not really it's not a moral or ethical thing. I'm just using an example, right? You could use that with anything, with any situation. That's the difference. So when we talk about accessing our real memory, I feel like that's maybe it is wisdom. Maybe it's being able to draw on all of your experiences, even if you don't remember what they are,
Mhm.
to have the wisdom to apply now. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's being able to recall, like, you know, I was on a tower on Jupiter and, you know, like as the wars of Jupiter took place, I was there. Like, I don't even know if that's a thing. I just made that up. I'm just saying,
I
maybe,
think, well, I think it would be very overwhelming for the mind. And again, being a boss, you want your employees to be successful. So what do? You give them the resources, you give them, tasks, you teach them, you do all these things. Kim was talking about this, the reason why, you know, which I wanted to go after the video and explain. It was like what she explained was like, wow, this is all now going back to care. But she explained it of like, this is like parents, they're going to be looking after the kids. And she explained it the way I've always seen it. It's like, well, if I'm a boss and I'm looking at my employees, what do they need to be successful? Because as they're successful, I'll be successful. That's the reality. And you want them to grow because as they look good, makes if they do good and they'll make you look good. So I look at this and go, okay, I don't think our creator God, or source would give you more than you can handle. So I think this is where take what you need, leave the rest. I think he would just give you what you need at the time, and then you'll just know what you have to do or what direction to go. Because if thinking about it that we're just going to get everything just like, there's a reason. Why? Is it to heal? Is it to understand? Is it to what exactly? Because that's just my interpretation of it. My thing is like, I don't think our creator would do that because he's setting us up to be successful. This is the reason why it's taken so long. or else this would have come out before, you know. But look what just happened now on the 5th of July, 2024. Finally, that ended. So then you couldn't do anything until that point. You know, I'm hoping there's no more things left. But the way Kim is talking about it, it seems like we're around the corner. Get your projects ready. Start to think bigger, clear yourself, get ready. Or if you haven't, like, let's start to work. And it's around the corner. Like, that's how yeah.
I think this is a really powerful, actually, experience you've had, because you actually were the first person I really knew well that talked to me about this. I Kim has told me things, but you talked about this, where this is how I think it works when you're recalling memories or wisdom, or that that you're the all in all, that you know everything you know. You talked about being in a meeting with people that all spoke Arabic or something, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly you understood what they were saying. And you don't have to talk about it if you're not comfortable with it. That's okay. But suddenly you understood what they were saying enough to know you were no longer going to do business with them, right?
That's correct. And that's happened many times. It was as if I knew and then I would repeat it. Sometimes it's with, like, I don't know Arabic. I know a little bit of Italian and Portuguese because I'm South American, so I can understand it, and because of people around me, yes, granted. But sometimes when I'm talking to someone that it's like Arabic, any other culture that I don't know, or speaking Chinese, that has also happened, I just understood it. But it was as if my ears were tuned. It was the weirdest thing. I heard it in my own. It was in my own, like, in English, if that makes any sense. It was in English, and I just understood it, and I repeated it back, and then confirmed, "Is that correct?" And they were shocked and repeating in their language, going, and then I was able to, walk away from the situation because it wasn't going to be beneficial for anyone, let alone myself. And my exact words were, "I won't sell my soul to the devil for you or nobody." And I walked away. And so when I see that, I'm like, thank goodness, because what would have I got myself into if I didn't hear that? Because at that exact moment, boom, my ears heard it. I was able to then repeat it back, confirm that I'm not going insane, walk away. And I'm so grateful. But that happens to many people. You just know. And it helps you. It's intuition. It's, I think this is the fun part, is that as things come up, and we surround ourselves with like-minded people, we can then say, I kind of heard this, or, hey, I experienced this. Has this ever happened to you? And the other person is going to be like, yes, that happened to me. So, like, it's really exciting because you and I talk about it, and people on our team, and before they weren't talking about this much. Like, they're like, yeah, I know energy. Now they're like, no, I definitely felt something was weird, or something's happening. Like, and usually they're the type of people that used to say to me, I don't know anything about energy. And now they're like, I think something's happening. Even up to one of our children was saying the same thing, talking about energy. And that, it's like, they've always been into it, but not the way we were speaking about it. So I'm starting to see people I hate that word, but like, people are starting to ask questions, understand, remember, and want to actually know about what's going on, because things just doesn't make sense. And then they start getting the right answers, and things start falling on their lap. YouTube, TikTok.
I feel like all this is, it's time for us to put it to the test. Direct current. Look, this is the difference. This is alternating current. It's the same energy recycled over and over again. You could use this as just as much of an example to explain the reptilian cortex. right? Direct current, direct. It's here. It's not even a matter of it being coming into you. It's there already. It's already there. It's already part of you. Memories and experiences, me. It's who you are. That stuff's already there for you.
Mhm.
So I really believe, and I've known this, I've known it, but I didn't have the wisdom to know how to apply it. Right. So I think understand, like, I've known it's real. Like, I know God is real. Like, I know I'm real. I know God's in me. I know God's in you. I know this infinite power is in us, but how do you use it? Right. It's like having this incredible thing and you don't know what to do with it. So how do we use it?
How do we use it?
Yeah. How do we put this to use? Now, I put that question
Well,
out to the
yeah, because
audience,
like,
but I put
mm,
it out to everybody too. But go ahead.
yeah, like how do you use it? I think you can use it in anything and everything. Like that's where it's like start learning about your body. Your body won't lie to you, number one. So your gut feeling, your intuition, it's always going to tell you the truth. And not even that, it's like you're learning. If you get it wrong, it's okay. You're human. You're here to learn. But start doing things like testing. I don't know, like saying, I don't know, like I do it with my body. Like remember how with forensic healing and how I started doing that whole, you know, your body saying yes, saying no. We're going to start teaching people how we do our healings, which I think is really exciting. And also we've got Leela in the back that we're probably going to have a show, and she's going to be talking about some really cool stuff too. She probably doesn't like that I'm saying this right now, but I'm putting it out there because now she has to be held accountable. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing a
Look how
take.
well I've taught you. Look how well I've taught you. That's it. I do this to people all the time. I call people out all the time. People say they want to help. Listen, if you tell me you want to help that day, I have a job for you. Trust me. I always have a job for people. Believe me, we need your help. We need people to step up and say, hey, how do we help you grow? How do you help us grow? How can we make this something bigger? And I know that's inevitable. That will happen. So
Mhm.
I love that you said that. That's right. Hold Leela accountable.
I
Leela.
am, and she is. And I just think that the things that she talks about, I'm like, our conversations, I said to her, I'm like, I want people to hear what you're saying because I think it's going to be beneficial because this is new. And then we're going to, as we start having these conversations, you'll be hearing it from us, you'll be hearing it from other people, and then you're going to now have your recipe. Or I think you said your recipe the other day, right? It's like your tools on how to heal or what to do, on what direction you need to go, or just, some people meditate by standing up, or mine's music. Funny enough, I have to have music. And when I have my music, I'm good. And it doesn't matter what kind of music it is, but it's there. And you have it very different as well, how you connect. And I think once you start talking about this and giving people different options on how to do it, and that just have fun. This is something new. There's no rules. It's like, do you know how they say there's no rules to parenting? It's the same thing with this. There's no rules. Just look at it as whoever your creator is who you believe it is, you have direct connection to that being, and then they can communicate with you. And it's going to be like a relationship because you've got to earn trust. In a relationship, you'll give a little bit. And you're like, yeah, I heard that. Or, yeah, I understand what you mean. And then you'll give another little bit. And it's, back and forth. So I feel like have fun. Like, no, it's not saying you're in a relationship with with your creator. However, at the start of a relationship, you're getting to know that person and you ask 1,000 questions and you wait for their answer. You're interested. You want to know. You want to get to know that person. That's right, correct?
What do you mean?
In a
It's your
relationship.
idea. Of course it's correct.
Well, I'm asking you that question. Yes, no? making sense, not making sense. But my thing is, it's just, you're
I'm
building a
I'm building
relationship.
leaders here, people. I'm building leaders here. See, I believe in letting you just go and say what you have to. Like Laura has so many powerful things to say, but she's naturally shy, and she's literally overcoming this on live radio for the benefit of humanity. And probably doesn't let me talk about that, but you know what? I know better. I know it helps.
You
It
know what
helps
it is?
people. Yeah.
That's it. It helps people. If I can help someone, and then, or even like someone said yesterday that, something to be weird, you know, is it normal? And I thought to myself, this person is such an incredible human being. And I think to myself, I'm like, the world is destroying this person because they're trying to force this person to be something they're not. And if only that person just breathed, trusted, and just loved themselves and just kind of like accepted themselves, and like there are going to be people that accept them. And that was a big wake up call for me because I thought, I have this person in front of me looking straight in my eyes and I can see it. And if I can just be that for that person and change the world for that person, then it'll be all worth it. So I thought, how do I do that? Well, I got to show the world that it's okay to be weird. It's okay to stutter. It's okay to be yourself and learn on live and not know what you're doing, but you'll get there and everything will be okay. And then maybe you'll give other people the courage to stand up. And then, this person to also then be an incredible being that they're supposed to be. And I know they will be. So I just want it to be acceptable to be yourself, no matter who you are, no matter how you are. And that our creator is not going to care the mistakes that you did. We've been suffocating for such a long time. Like they've been suppressing us. So of course we're going to make mistakes. Of course we're going to think whatever they programmed us to think. However, people like this beautiful being, I'm like, no, you're my inspiration. So then hopefully, I can be someone else's inspiration and then say, I want to do that. And how do I do that? And I'm like, well, come on board, do it here. And this is how you do it. And you go from there and you learn. So this is really exciting. It's a really exciting time where, conquering our fears, we're letting them know no more. And trust me, if I'm on here doing this, you guys can do anything because this was something I said I would never, ever, ever, ever do. So that in itself, I know that the energies are changing and I know that it's time for us to move forward and unite, and which is really exciting because it seems like Care's ready to go. She has everything in place. For what I heard, it's an hour. If I'm not mistaken, she can get everything ready in 1 hour. Yes, no?
Oh my gosh, that was a great point that Kim Gogan made. She actually, thank you for reminding me of this. She talked about this one individual who was working with his technology that he had developed for the financial system and trying to support humanity to keep the financial system afloat. And his systems are so advanced that it would take him about 1 hour. To that individual, I'm telling you, if you are working with other people besides Kim Gogan, you are working with bad people who want nothing but harm for other people. And you should work with her because she can iron out all the wrinkles for you. She can help you do what you probably always have dreamt of doing. And you can bring your technologies and do and pursue whatever you want and do the great things that you want to do with your life. You can do all those things if you're working with the right person. And believe me, I know this. Kim Gogan is the right person. And it's not to make more of her, but I know, you know somebody by the testimony they have through life. And when someone dedicates their life to lifting everyone else up, you know what? There's nothing wrong with a few of us taking the time to say, well, I appreciate that work because we all benefit from it. Matter of fact, I strive to be someone just like that. that people would think enough of me to want to lift me up, because that's what we want to do. We want to be a witness to those who can't witness for themselves, who don't know, the ones who might even be throwing rocks at us because they don't know the truth. So be an ambassador for the truth. Be something worth following. Be someone that your kids can look up to. Be someone that inspires other people. There's nothing wrong with that. And you have that opportunity a million times a day. I reference this all the time. It's my favorite scripture in the Bible, Deuteronomy 30:19, where God just puts the choice out there. He says, I place before thee blessings and cursings, life and death. And just so we don't get it wrong, he makes sure to tell us, choose life. You get that opportunity to choose life 1,000 times a day. The way you treat people, the way you treat yourself, the way you talk, the things you talk about, the things you think about, the things you sleep on, the way you treat your spouse, the way you treat your sons, your daughters, everybody, your parents. Take the time to choose life. And the more you choose life, I guarantee you will see life force thriving in you. And now more than ever, this is the moment where we can change everything. We can change everything if we just focus on knowing who we are, embracing who we are, taking responsibility for who we are, and then allowing that to be something so honorable, so pure, so powerful that inspires other people to do the same. So, with that in mind, Laura, thank you so much for everything, everybody for being here. My name is Stephen Rao. This is the Life Force Network, and let's go change the world.